Boris Johnson and his Brexit4, Michael Gove, Dominic Cummings, Matthew Elliott, carried out the biggest confidence trick in UK political history on 33 million voters. The UK public are still unaware they've been cheated. This report is by a Leave voter who has no political affiliation whatsoever, who totally believed and trusted the statements of Boris Johnson and Michael Gove. Get ready to be shocked. Every statement, fact and figure is verified. Check the government web links that prove all 6 major lies. Please find below a one-page summary of this detailed report, which will give you a short flavour of all the lies and gross misrepresentation that everyone in the UK was subjected to. The full report gives you a detailed explanation, including government website links that prove all of the lies that the Brexit4 used to carry out their confidence trick, which denied the UK electorate the right to have a true, honest, fair vote in June 2016. Lie number 1. Quote, "We send the EU 350 million a week. Let's fund our NHS instead. Vote Leave." The truth? We have never ever paid the EU anything near the sum of 350 million. The maximum net payment over the last 7 years has been 181 million. This first lie is the cornerstone of the Brexit4's confidence trick. When clicking on the Government Office of National Statistics website showing the UK's 2016 payment, scroll down to the context calculator, enter the net payment figure shown, which is in billions, and you will instantly see the true weekly figure and be shocked by the lies. Lie number 2. We received nothing in return for our 350 million that was, in reality, 181 million net. The truth. Far from nothing in return, the UK exports 5,269 million every week to the 27 EU countries. Please check out the web link. Lie number 3. 350 million. Quote, "Let's fund our NHS instead. Vote Leave." In reality, the figure was 181 million. The truth. There was never any money for the NHS due to estimated 36 billion drop in government revenue. Please check out the web link. Lie number 4. Quote, "Turkish population of 76 million is joining the EU. Vote Leave, take back control." The truth? Turkey was never about to be joining the EU, not in 2016 or even in the near future. Please check out the web link. Lie number 5. Gove quote, "Britain's population could swell by 5 million unless we leave the EU." The truth. The above quotation was an horrendous lie from the Brexit4's Michael Gove. Please check out web link. Lie number 6. That the CEOs of Toyota, Nissan, BMW, Jaguar, Vauxhall, Airbus and others were all involved in Project Fear. The truth. These motor manufacturers had no reason to lie about the possibilities of their companies ceasing all investment in the UK and or possibly relocating to other areas of Europe. Please check out the web link. You have now read a short summary report on all 6 lies, with just 6 website exhibits. The full report starts below and contains all the complete details on all the lies, together with a further 25 important website exhibits of evidence that prove 100% that the UK public were subjected to one of the most disgusting and far-reaching confidence tricks in UK political history, involving all 33 million voters throughout the UK, who were cheated out of a free and fair referendum vote. The reality was, in April 2016, Boris Johnson and Michael Gove realised that all the opinion polls were forecasting a large majority of the UK electorate were in favour of voting to remain in the EU. The bookmakers quoting that it was heavy odds on for the Remain vote to win. Boris Johnson and Michael Gove recruited two of the UK's most renowned political strategists, Cummings and Matthew Elliott, to engineer their highly sophisticated confidence trick that took many months of preparation. The Brexit4 realised the only way for them to get the UK public to vote leave was to manufacture three major compelling reasons why the public should change their minds, which Boris Johnson launched on the 15th of April 2016 to all media forums in front of his famous battle bus, just 9 weeks before the referendum vote. The Brexit4 devised a sophisticated confidence trick that was based on psychological mind games, specifically aimed at the public's senses of fear, injustice and love, as follows. Fear that the UK was about to be swamped by 5 million Turkish immigrants. Injustice that we were unfairly paying the EU £350 million every week for nothing. And love that our most cherished institution, the NHS, would receive all these monies. Boris Johnson and his Brexit4 displayed the worst case of arrogance and audacity ever experienced in UK politics. Just two leading politicians taking it upon themselves to decide that, regardless of public opinion, the UK is going to leave the EU. All three of these vote-winning revelations have now all been proved to be 100% lies and gross misrepresentation of the true facts. No Turkish immigration is going to happen. We have never paid anything like £350 million to the EU. There was never any Brexit dividend monies for our beloved NHS. These extremely well-planned and very clever psychological games were executed to perfection, even to the point of having in place a perfect remedy to silence all opposition to their statements, which was not to engage but simply dismiss them as Project Fear Brexit bashing, a term which is still used today, 2 years on. If you can't read the report in full, but you are already shocked and disgusted, please consider taking the following 2 steps that will take you only 2 minutes to complete. Doing nothing is not an option. Firstly, sending this report viral, and secondly, registering with the People's Vote will force our MPs and government and media to stay Brexit and hold the Brexit4 to account. Firstly, make this report go viral ASAP. Post this report to all your friends and followers on Facebook and Twitter, asking them to do the same. This takes less than 60 seconds. Secondly, register with the People's Vote petition. Click on the People's Vote web link below and just enter your name and email address, etc. And you then have voted for action. www.peoplesvote.uk. Takes less than 60 seconds. The Brexit4's first lie. The UK never ever paid £350 million a week for its EU membership, as was shown on the Boris's battle bus, which appeared on most news and TV programmes in the weeks leading up to the referendum vote. The true average net payment to the EU over the past 7 years has never exceeded more than £181 million per week. The UK never sent the EU £350 million a week for its annual EU membership. The statements by the Brexit4, advertised to the whole nation on TV and the Boris battle bus, was a total fabrication of the truth. The average yearly net payment to the EU over the last 7 years, from 2011 to 2017, has been a maximum of £181 million per week, as shown in the tables below. For the avoidance of any doubt, The payment table below is taken from the Treasury's 2018 audited online website, which shows the last 7 years of EU payments from 2011 to 2017. So there isn't even an excuse for the Brexit4 of quoting the wrong yearly figure by mistake. The facts below show there is only one explanation: a blatant, gross misrepresentation of the true facts. The figures simply don't lie. Further proof the UK never ever paid 350 million a week is shown by the European Union Finances publication from HM Treasury in March 2018. The table of figures shown in black confirm that the average net figure paid over the last 7 years was in fact 181 million per week. The website link from this government report, shown below, confirms that there is no 350 million figure, and it was a total fabrication of the truth. There is no way that the above lies can be justified. Whichever way the Brexit4 tries to justify the figures and their behaviour, the government figures simply don't lie. Even if the Brexit4 claim they used the payment before EU subsidy figure, shown in C above, the only payment that the UK makes each year to the EU, after which time the EU, on behalf of the UK, pay a further 3 to 4 billion each year in subsidy payments to UK public bodies, which are paid directly to our UK farmers and medical research bodies, etc. The maximum figures, as you can see from the above annual repayments before EU pay subsidies, is 257 million per week. Again, nowhere near the 350 million per week quoted by the Brexit4. Not forgetting that the real UK net figure post-EU subsidy repayments averages no more than 181 million per week, taking the average over the last 7 years from 2011 up to 2017. The Brexit4's second lie was lying by omission, that the UK gets nothing in return from our membership of the EU. Far from getting no benefits, in 2017, the UK's export sales to the EU totalled £274 billion. That's 5,269 millions per week in exports to all 27 of the other EU member states, with the EU's seamless customs and border controls making it all possible. In return for the UK's 2017 membership payment of 171 million per week, the UK benefits from not just the 5,269 millions in exports, but also the UK gains access to the biggest marketplace in the world, with every one of the other 27 EU countries working to the same import and export regulations without any duty having to be paid, which is a requirement for all non-EU countries. As well as the above membership also allows the UK to export to 36 non-EU countries that all have trade agreements with the EU. If we leave the EU on the Brexit4 model, most all of the main export advantages mentioned above will be lost to the UK, together with the reality that the UK will have to pay full tariffs on all exports that we make with any of the 27 EU countries. Most all of these multinational manufacturers have already put the UK government on watch that if the UK leaves the EU without any deal, as Boris Johnson and his Brexit4 are advocating, which as of today's date is still now looking to be the case, they will find themselves in a critical situation of having to make massive commercial decisions, regarding making no further investment in the UK and also relocating their manufacturing to other areas of the EU. Should this happen, it is not an exaggeration to say it would have a massive bearing on our exports to the EU and the rest of the world, affecting tens of thousands of jobs and many billions of pounds in lost government tax revenues. See below just 4 web links from many dozens of warnings to the UK government. Almost all the major manufacturers have posted warnings, including Toyota, Nissan, BMW, Jaguar Land Rover, Airbus, etc., who all have multi-million-pound investments in the UK and who have all stated that post a no-deal Brexit they will be forced to consider stopping all further investment and to look to relocate to other areas of the EU if they face tariff barriers, which would be 10% duty on motor vehicles and 4.5% on all motor parts, or just as important, disruption to their just-in-time production methods that are totally reliant on free flow of goods between EU and UK and seamless customs clearances. The Brexit4's third lie, NHS receiving 350 million, was a total fabrication of the truth. The Brexit4 made 2 false claims over the Brexit dividend payment to the NHS. Firstly, as shown above, the Brexit4 claimed the NHS would receive 350 million per week, when the reality is that the average net payment was only 181 million per week. Secondly, it was common knowledge that prior to the referendum that if the UK voted leave, our UK government taxation revenue would be greatly reduced. It was widely reported that the reduction in UK revenue would be affected by many billions of pounds, meaning that there would be no Brexit dividend windfall payment whatsoever for the NHS or anyone else. These 2 shocking false statements that were plastered on the side of the battle bus attracted the attention of the whole nation, due to the undisputed fact that the NHS is the most loved organisation in the UK. The Brexit4 were fully aware that all monies that the UK government receives come from taxation revenue receipts. There really can be no defence for the Brexit4 not being aware that post a successful leave vote, taxation receipts by the UK government would be drastically reduced, as prior to the referendum in 2016 there were many official reports from bodies predicting the massive fall in revenue that would happen post the UK voting to leave. Just 3 of the many reports issued prior to the referendum on the 25th of June 2016 are shown below. The first of these reports, 18th of May 2016, source HM Treasury, Cabinet Office, Prime Minister's Office, stated, the negative impact on GDP would also result in substantially weaker tax receipts, significantly outweighing any potential gain from reduced financial contributions to the EU. Full report leaves nothing out. 12th of May 2016, source Bank of England report, with the Bank of England governor stating that the risks of leaving could possibly include a technical recession. April 2016, source Government Treasury confirms 36 billion shortfall in revenue receipts. The quote is, Chancellor of the Exchequer in 2016, George Osborne, confirms an expected 36 billion shortfall in UK taxation receipts from government departments. That's £692 million a week. The Guardian quotes a speech made from the Chancellor of the Exchequer, George Osborne, in 2016. George Osborne presents the Treasury analysis of the costs of Britain leaving the EU. George Osborne has said the British government would lose 36 billion in net tax receipts. As well as the above quotations prior to the referendum, several separate government bodies have all reaffirmed in the last few months that there was never any Brexit membership dividend available for the NHS or anything else, due to taxation receipts being severely hit post-Brexit. The Financial Times quoted the Government Office of Budget Responsibilities stating, quote, "Brexit dividends for NHS is a fallacy, say OBR fiscal watchdog, has told the government there is no dividend to fund the NHS spending pledge." The current Chancellor of the Exchequer, Phillip Hammond, in replies to Boris Johnson, confirmed that the NHS dividend never existed. Phillip Hammond to Boris Johnson, "No Brexit dividend for NHS." See the website link below for the full quotation. Boris Johnson and his Brexit4 have no defence whatsoever for knowingly using the fictitious figures of 350 million. The Brexit4 held a duty of care before ever publishing any of these figures to over 33 million UK voters to have their financial assumptions and statements tested before an accredited authority and published, especially as they were quoting these figures as statements of fact, not estimates. The Brexit4, who are all highly intelligent individuals, obviously went to great lengths in their planning and preparation when presenting all of the above facts and statements in order to gain the maximum psychological impact to totally influence the voting public. The Brexit4's fourth and fifth lie was that Turkey is joining the EU, 76 million people, and up to 5 million immigrants would be coming unless we vote leave. This totally fake news was all about creating fear in the whole of the UK electorate, falsely claiming that the EU were about to let in 76 million immigrants with up to 5 million coming to the UK unless we voted leave. The Brexit4 published the above claims throughout the UK on all forms of media. Please find the headlines used on the Brexit4's national poster campaign, quoting, "Turkey, population 76 million, is going to join the EU. Vote leave, take back control." Turkey was never going to join the EU in 2016, 2017, or any time soon. In any event, they could not join the EU without the UK's express permission, along with every other member state. The reality is Turkey's application for membership has been stalled for a decade prior to the referendum, with it being common knowledge that several key member states were totally opposed to Turkey joining. So the Brexit4's poster campaign to all media sources was nothing more than gross misrepresentation of the truth. Please see copy of the actual poster used below. The Brexit4 poster is typical of the psychological games played out on the UK public, which proved to be extremely effective. A British passport image, almost half the size of the poster, next to the fake headline, to maximise the fear in the UK's mindset that up to 76 million Turkish immigrants could be effectively applying for British passports and arriving in the UK anytime soon. The Brexit4's sixth lie. 5 million coming unless we vote leave. On the 20th of May 2016, just a month before the referendum vote, the Brexit4 spokesman on immigration, Michael Gove, took the lies about Turkey joining to a whole new level by publicising false statements and facts and statistics to news media nationwide, including TV, radio and newspapers, all repeating his claims that a flood of up to 5 million immigrants could be arriving and the NHS would not be able to cope. Below is a copy of just one of Michael Gove's speeches and interviews reported on by the Daily Express newspaper. Here are the horrendous lies spoken by Michael Gove on Friday, May the 20th, 2016. Headlines in the Daily Express. Britain's population could swell by 5 million unless we leave the EU, warns Michael Gove. Published Friday, May 20th, 2016. Let's take back control. The Justice Secretary warned clearly unsustainable strains on Britain's hospitals if the country remains in the EU beyond the in-out referendum on the 23rd of June. Revealing new research from Vote Leave, the official lead Brexit campaigner, Mr Gove, said anywhere between 2.6 and 5 million extra EU immigrants could come to Britain by 2030. Mr Gove said 88 million extra people would be granted the right to live and work in Britain due to the EU's commitment to Albania, Macedonia, Montenegro, Serbia and Turkey, all joining Brussels-based bloc. How the Brexit4 deliberately deceived the UK public to manipulate a Leave vote. Also playing out a series of 4 highly successful psychological games on the UK public. There is no doubt that the Brexit4's series of lies on all the major voting issues proved to be an infamous tactical and psychological masterstroke. For example, utilising statements that had no accreditable source and that no one had the time, ability or even a forum to disprove these lies. The Brexit4's first extremely clever psychological game was played out on the British public by making 2 wild, unsubstantiated claims and statements that could not immediately be disproven by anyone. For example, we send the EU 350 million a week, let's fund our NHS instead, vote Leave. That was the quote. A psychological masterstroke which from day one convinced most of the electorate, including myself, that all these statements were totally correct. How impossible would it have been in June 2016 to believe that 2 of the most highly respected politicians in the UK, Boris Johnson and Michael Gove, would ever mislead the whole of the UK with a series of the most outrageous lies on all 3 of the main electoral issues. Brexit4's second extremely clever psychological game was played out by the Brexit4 to be able to silence most all criticism of their figures and statements by labelling all Remain politicians who tried to speak out against them as being Brexit bashing, Project Fear propagandists. Throughout the weeks leading up to the referendum, there was never any meaningful debate over the real pros and cons. The undisputed lies on the side of the Boris battle bus basically formed the manifesto for the Leave campaign, along with the lies relating to Turkey, with the Remain campaign playing catch-up due to their ability to disprove any of the 6 horrendous lies by having no accreditable source for all the false statements or even a forum from which to object. The Brexit4's third psychological game played out on the UK electorate came from their extremely clever marketing gimmick of putting those 2 false statements on the side of the Boris battle bus, which appeared repeatedly on every news programme for the whole of the campaign. And by the time it got to referendum day, most everyone in the UK totally believed that we were paying the EU 350 million per week for nothing in return, and that the NHS we all love was going to be the sole beneficiary every week of all this money. At this time, in April 2016, Boris Johnson was without doubt the UK's most influential and trusted politician, due to his unique, charismatic charm and personality, together with him never being afraid to speak his mind. Boris Johnson was possibly the only politician in the UK who could have pulled off and successfully executed this massive confidence trick. There can be no doubt that his Brexit4 political strategists used Boris's standing in the UK to its maximum to pull off their psychological games, which proved to be 100% successful in convincing 33 million voters that they had to vote leave to protect the UK from EU immigration and to fund our NHS for many years to come. The Brexit4's fourth psychological game played out on the UK electorate was from the lies that Turkey was about to join the EU. As per all the details shown above, the biggest of these three referendum issues was without doubt the UK public's fear over immigration. As figures below show, after 44-year membership of the EU, there is effectively no serious. Boris Johnson and his Brexit4, Michael Gove, Dominic Cummings, Matthew Elliott, carried out the biggest confidence trick in UK political history on 33 million voters. The UK public are still unaware they've been cheated. This report is by a Leave voter who has no political affiliation whatsoever, who totally believed and trusted the statements of Boris Johnson and Michael Gove. Get ready to be shocked. Every statement, fact, and figure is verified. Check the government web links that prove all 6 major lies. Please find below a one-page summary of this detailed report, which will give you a short flavour of all the lies and gross misrepresentation that everyone in the UK was subjected to. The full report gives you a detailed explanation, including government website links that prove all of the lies that the Brexit4 used to carry out their confidence trick, which denied the UK electorate the right to have a true, honest, fair vote in June 2016. Lie number 1. Quote, "We send the EU 350 million a week. Let's fund our NHS instead. Vote Leave." The truth? We have never ever paid the EU anything near the sum of 350 million. The maximum net payment over the last 7 years has been 181 million. This first lie is the cornerstone of the Brexit4's confidence trick. When clicking on the Government Office of National Statistics website showing the UK's 2016 payment, scroll down to the context calculator, enter the net payment figure shown, which is in billions, and you will instantly see the true weekly figure and be shocked by the lies. Lie number 2. We received nothing in return for our 350 million that was in reality 181 million net. The truth? Far from nothing in return,